And at the beginning of each meeting, we all tell a little bit of a story. And when this woman started her story, I have to tell you, I was absolutely captivated. I think you will be too. This woman was larger than life, and I'm really pleased that she's here today, because I really felt when I first heard her tell a story that she wasn't the storyteller, that she was channeling of greater power, and a spirit was coming through her and her drum. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome and then your undivided attention to Erica Helm-Mead, a resident of Vashon Island for 19 years.
When you look at this beautiful portrait, you think, home. Yes? Home! But this first part, I'm going to tell you a story. It's going to take about 8 minutes. This is not going to be factually engaging. It is going to be imaginally engaging. It is going to get the right side of your brains pulsing. It is going to ask you to imagine and to enter a mythic realm. So I'll ask you to start by looking at this image and taking it as a Rorschach ink blot. What do you see? Now, someone told me the other day that this is a very short Bill Clinton playing his saxophone. What else do you see? Vashon-Maury Island, she's got it. That's Vashon-Maury. So when you look, do you see any other surprising thing pop out at you? A heart. A heart! Anything else?
You turn it upside down, it looks like Billy Lee Sanderford twirling his baton.
All right, there it is. Well, I'm here to tell you the story that says that Vashon-Maury Island is, in fact, a dancing man. About like this. Long ago, up and down the Pacific coast were fiery mountains that could spew streams of molten earth. And it is often said that these fiery mountains are sisters, who, when they get to competing with one another, can get very fiery and very jealous. Now, one of them one day was showing off, and she got very hot, and she heaved very far. And that molten earth that came out of her landed in small spots to the north. And when it cooled, it turned into islands in the sea. And these islands would later come to be known by the name the San Juans. Now, her sisters did not want to be outdone. And so one of them got very hot. And she began to tremble, and she heaved, and when she did, she created a large horseshoe-shaped island that would one day be called Whippy. Another sister, not wishing to be outdone, got very hot, and she spewed hard, and Bainbridge was the result. Now, with all this spewing going on, there were little droplets that fell here and there. Some to the south were later called Fox and Tanglewood. Now, with all this birthing going on, you can imagine that the fiery sisters were very tired. And so, they all decided to take a nap. That is, all She who would later be known as the most majestic and beautiful of all the sisters, stood back and gazed at that body of water that would someday be called Puget Sound. And she saw that there was room for one more island. If she aimed and didn't shoot too far to the north or too far to the south, she could produce a beautiful island perfectly located. Now she wanted this island to be her own special child. And she wanted it to take a very joyous shape. And so she decided to shape it in the form of a dancing man. Now she began to hum way down deep inside, and that hum built momentum and turned into a heave, and soon that heave became an eruption, and she spewed. Lo and behold, a dancing man lay there in the water. He was beautiful. But unfortunately, his arms were rather heavy, and they sank to the bottom right away. And his head was a little heavy as well, and it sank part way, but then it stayed up just enough so that he could see. Now his mother looked at him proudly, and she said, "Don't worry, my son, as long as you have two legs, you can dance." Now no sooner had she spoken these words than his left leg started to drift away from his body. She gasped, but luckily it stayed nearby and did not float away or sink entirely. That leg would later be called Maury Island. Now the millennia went by, and each time the majestic mountain gazed out at the islands, she put something else there with her intent. One day she thought of moss, and she sent her wishes there, and the moss grew. Another day she thought of ferns. She sent her wishes, and the ferns grew. It was the same with the trees. This place made a beautiful home. There were ducks and clams at the shoreline. There were otters and salmon in the stream. There were eagles in the treetops, because the majestic mountain wished it so. Once glaciers came down from the north. She was afraid they would demolish her son, but no, they just left behind a beautiful layer of gravel. But still, she wished that there was some way that that left leg could be reattached. And so she sent her wish to the industrious beings, the human beings. And when they caught wind of that wish, they began making a land bridge to reconnect that leg to the rest of the body. They were proud of their land bridge, and they called it portage. Now, not so long after that, some people from far away decided they could make lots of money by digging all of the gravel out of Dancing Man's ankles. They began digging, but the majestic mountain sent her wishes and caused them to stop. Decades went by, and once again, people said they could make a lot of money by digging up all the gravel from Dancing Man's ankle. The majestic mountain did not like it. She sent her wish to the people of Vashon-Maury Island. Stop this. And they gathered together. And there was one woman who was a tremendous warrior who got things going. And there were many smart people who looked into the situation and saw that there would be deep impacts for the water and for the land. And these people gathered together with some who could tell stories and some who could make music. And they opened their hearts to share. Now, my friends, just like Dancing Man, this story is still in motion. Where is it going to go to? Are we going to put our foot down for Dancing Man?
Yeah.
Are we going to take a stand for Dancing Man? Yes. Let us put our hands around Maury and take a stand for Dancing Man.